Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
All right, welcome to episode 79 of the Sports Card Nation. Happy to be back. I promise this week in the open, no rants, no getting fired up, deep breaths. I'm all good. We're not going to do that this week. But, one thing with this show, folks, is, I try to be honest and sincere, and that's where that came from. That's the place that rant in last week's Open came from. And I hope you understand that. I love this hobby. I have a passion for it. I care about it. I want it to be available to everyone, And we were all new at some point. That was my point. And why do we have to label things? And so I'll leave it at that. I try not to be a labeler. I'll label my cards like on the top loaders or semi-ridges for shows. And that's the closest I get to labeling in the card industry. So I'll leave that right there. So great show for you. We got another Topps 2020 artist. Glad to have him. Hailing from Philadelphia. King Saladeen. I think most will agree that are into this 2020 Topps project. His work's outstanding, and kind of a unique perspective. He was a really good athlete, basketball, football player, and I'm going to touch on how being a good athlete equates to being a good artist, or what kind of advantage it does or doesn't give him. And he had a great response to that question. We're going to talk about how he got to start, someone very important, a role model to him that really helped get him across the finish line and his art career going. He's going to talk about that person who was very crucial in his career. And we're going to talk about the Topps 2020 project. And so happy to have him on. The next few weeks we have some more 2020 project artists. The following week, next week, we're going to have JK5, tattoo artist from my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. And the following week, we're going to have Andrew Thiel on the show. And I'm sure we'll have more in future episodes as well. Remember, the project runs all the way through December. So I'm going to, try to interview as many artists with the project as I can. Any listener of this show knows this is not a political show. This is a sports card podcast, and it's going to remain that way. But we all know what's, unfortunately going on in the world. I want to touch on it sort of on the outskirts, if you will. And I'll just say, if you know anything about me, my idol's Jackie Robinson. Someone, even though his career was over, he actually died a month before I was born. But being from Brooklyn, he was a big inspiration. I learned a lot about him, the man, how he lived his life, how he tried to inspire and help others, and instantly really became my idol at a very young age as a young kid in Brooklyn. And so I always, it's a little cliche or maybe a little corny, when things like this occur, I always kind of go to him as a reference. What would, Jackie say or do or think? And just from what I gather and knowing about him, obviously he preached nonviolence. Stand up for yourself and what you believe in, and I think he wouldn't be against the protest, and nor am I, but to do it in a peaceful, non-harmful sort of way to get your message across. And that's kind of where I fall in. A terrible crime was committed. One of those people have been charged. I'm assuming and hoping there's other charges come down. And I'll say it, I hope it's the last time we ever have to talk about something like this happening. But I think we probably, I'm not naive to say probably not going to be the case, although I hope, as most others do, that it would be. And so, on a personal point of view, as I always say on the show, be good to others, do the right thing, and hopefully we can somehow get through this. What a crazy year 2020 has been. It's just in life, in the hobby. I mean, if you would have thought, all the things that happened would have happened in 2020, no one would have believed you, and here we are. So, let's enjoy the hobby. It's kind of an outlet, when things like this are going on. We all have different things that are an outlet. Some people are musicians, some people, do artwork, some, whatever it is. If you're listening to this, a hobby, sports cards are one of your outlets, and so I hopefully for an hour and a half we can make it enjoyable for you. That's my goal, and that's what I'm going to strive to do. And so with that being said, let's start the show. Time for this week's incoming product releases. All right, again, got to do the disclaimer. With COVID-19, although things are starting to open up slowly, you never know if these dates are going to be realized. But 6/5, which is the date of the release of this podcast, a few items here. Topps Tier 1 Baseball, Panini Score Football 2020 with the high price tag included. 2019-20 Panini Court Kings Basketball. On the 10th, 2020 Topps Diamond Icons Baseball. Also on the 10th, 2020 Panini Donruss Diamond Kings Baseball. Also on the 10th, 2020 Historic Autographs Retrograph Baseballs. And on the 12th, 2020 Leaf Flash Football. Also on the 12th, 2019-20 Panini National Treasures Basketball. I have an interesting story there in the What's Cracking segment, so listen for that. Also on the 12th, TriStar Hidden Treasures Autograph Photos, the football edition. And last but not least, on the 12th, 2020 Sage Aspire Football. And that gets you all the way to next Friday's, the 12th, and so June is ramping up to be a busy month as things pick up and slowly open back up.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast, now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. It's time for What's Cracking. All right, let's start off with what is still the hottest topic in release in the hobby. It's the ongoing Topps Project 2020. We hit an all-time high with the Keith Shore Ken Griffey Jr., 99,000 copies. Very soon to follow after that. The big question was, are the numbers going to keep going up or be higher than previous? And the numbers have started to dip again. I think a lot of people were the quick turnaround people trying to buy and then turn around and sell real quick, all got in at the same time. The project itself has started to make national news and mainstream news forums, and so I think a lot of people got in kind of jumping on the boat and didn't go like they expected, and they jumped sort of back off the boat in a rather quick fashion. So I think we're kind of back where we were. Can we see another increase? Well, we're about to in my estimation, and that numbers might actually already be released by the time you're listening to this. But a card number 100, which was a collab between Blake Jameson and Ben Baller. Ben Baller basically doing the nameplate of the Mike Trout update rookie version, and Blake painting the main crux of the card. That is card number 100. And Topps also announced at the same time that from now, this point forward, with that Trout number 100 and any subsequent Trout release, which there's going to be, I believe, 14 or 15 more, there's going to be randomly inserted into orders from the Topps site 10 autographed Mike Trout cards by Mike Trout himself. Now, the card will be different than the artist rendition, obviously, that he won't be able to be hanging out at Topps' headquarters and signing them each week. So there's going to be a different 10 Mike Trout autographs, but I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed getting a number to 10 Mike Trout autograph instead of their Topps 2020 Project Mike Trout. And if you are, let me know. I gladly will trade you the regular Trout for your autographed Trout. But all joking aside, so that's going to be on the remaining 14 Trout releases. So there's going to be 150 Trout autograph cards, but each the way I read it, each week they're going to be numbered to 10. I imagine the cards will be different designs. So it'll be numbered to 10 Mike Trouts. And so here you are, hoping you get that gold 1 of 1. And now if you're buying any of the Trout releases, you have a shot at a number to 10 Trout. And there'll be 10 of them, obviously. Now, here's the thing I kind of thought of, too. Now, if you're one of the artists, right, who did Trout already, like Fucci did, and some of the other guys that did, you're not going to kind of reap the benefit of the high sales on these Trouts. You already did the Trouts before the autograph. So I sort of feel bad for those artists that did Trouts before this announcement. Now, I wondered, did Topps tell them, hey, sorry, this is what we're going to do, and it's after yours is already done? I don't know. I don't know all the logistics, but if I'm one of those 20 artists and my Trout was already printed and released, and I didn't get in on the 10 autograph hype and extra sales, I'm kind of bummed. So I don't know if they're going to do something for those artists or not, or it's just one of those suck it up buttercup things. Or maybe they can they do another card for them, maybe with another guest autograph. I don't know. But man, I if I was in the project and an artist, I would be glad if I didn't do Trout yet, because I believe now every Trout is going to be 6-digit print runs. I'd be shocked if they weren't. They're already the highest print runs of the set without autographs, and now you add autographs. I'm doing a contest for those who, I don't know if you're hearing this, it may be over if the print run's announced, but on our Twitter feed, which is at SportsCardNatty, Nati 1, we are doing a Trout number 100 Project 2020 giveaway. And so all you have to do to enter is find that tweet, retweet it, and then also post your response to how many card 100s will be ordered and printed. And if you just heard what I said, I'm a pretty safe bet. I think that these are going to eclipse 6 digits. And I will tell you, I ordered quite a bit. Some I've already sold in pre-sale, and others I'm just kind of holding on to. So I ordered 20, but some of those are accounted for. So maybe I'm lucky ordering 20. I don't know if I have 20 shots to get an auto or the 101 gold. Probably wishful thinking, but at least got to be in it to win it. And so if you didn't get to do the Trout card yet and you're in the project, it's your lucky day. You're going to get a nice uptick in sales, and I kind of feel bad for those artists that don't. So, but going back to talking about the project, I think things have again settled back down. Prices have dropped significantly, but remember, most of the stuff is still going for more than initial cost. So no one's losing their shirt. People are just not making as much as they wanted to or once were. And, you're going to have to just adjust, take it like a hobbyist. And I think things will start to go back up again, especially on the lower print run stuff as we fall into, I think, with the Trout being the anomaly, I think print runs are going to be anywhere from 10 to 40,000 on the high end. Again, Trouts will be more with the autograph announcement. So I like the project. I went from lukewarm, I'm all in, and I'm not collecting every card. I don't have every card. I'm just buying ones that are of interest to me. I'm a huge Jackie Robinson guy. I don't have all of those either, but I am. Anything that comes out now, I'm grabbing, and eventually I'll probably backtrack and grab some of the ones I missed as well. So that's it for the Project 2020. Stay tuned. Here in a little bit, we're going to have one of those artists, King Saladeen, who does great work on the project, and it's a great interview. I think you'll find it very interesting. I know I sure did. It was a pleasure having him on the show. Okay, back to what's cracking. Panini, National Treasures. They did the old Dutch auction. Started it, I believe, at $30,000. The bottom or the floor was $7,500, and a little surprised it hit that floor. Now I don't know all the specs. I don't know if they sold it at that. I don't know if they pulled it back and sold it out the back door, as rumored to occur sometimes. I don't know all the specs, but I do know it went all the way to the bottom of the tier, selling tier. And so it'll be interesting to see, what comes next. A quick check at eBay did have some listed for sale at $20,000 a box. Now, I don't know if that was someone in advance of anticipating buying it for below that at some level, and now they didn't get it, and they got to take their auction down or quickly pivot and try to get it somewhere. I don't know all the specs, but I do know it hit that floor of $7,500. So I want to talk about I want to bring some of my personal story here to the What's Cracking segment. Couple new selling platforms. One's a sponsor of the show, Star Stock, and the other is MySlabs. MySlabs is a platform where you can list all your graded cards. They take PSA, BGS, and SGC, which is all three that I carry and my inventory represents. You don't send them the card. You just list your cards on their site, take pics, good, nice quality pics front and back, set your price. Anything that sells, you'll get a notification. People can make offers. You can haggle and counter offer. And if you sell anything, then it goes through PayPal. You get paid, and then you mail that slab to the buyer. And they only take 1%, minimum of $1, but they only take 1% of any transaction. So if you sell a card for $400, it's going to cost you $4. And I literally put about 30 cards on in like a couple hours, and within that first hour, I had a notification that I had sold a couple. And I was like, wow, that's quick. I didn't even put all my stuff on here. And it was a card I actually had on eBay. So I quickly, obviously, pulled it off of eBay, shipping it out. One of the cards, anyway, was on eBay. Pulled it off of eBay, shipped it out, and paid 1%. So a couple bucks of what I sold it for. And if I would have sold that very same card on eBay, that would have cost me, I'm trying to do math too, but, $6 and then ship, it would have cost between $6 and $10 instead of just a couple bucks. And so, every little bit counts. And, you know how eBay works, with chargebacks and 6-month cancellations. And my slabs policy is there is no returns. As long as if it's a graded 9 or a graded 10 and that's what you get and it's the same card they paid for, you can't return it. And that's the way it should be. If I buy a PSA 10, Zion Williamson or an SGC 10 John Morant from someone, I know what it is. That's what they send me. There should be no returns. It's not, unless the slab's cracked. And now, that opens up a whole Pandora's box. Could someone crack the slab? And, but even then you can get it re-slabbed at the grading facility. And it's just for a nominal charge. I think most are $10 to $15. So you shouldn't have to return the whole thing. You should just pay $10, $15 and have them get it re-slabbed for the inconvenience. So I like that policy better. You've heard me talk about what I think about 6-month return policy, so I'm not going to go off on a tangent there. It's pretty obvious how I feel. And so I was pleasantly surprised. And going to Star Stock, a sponsor, they're a selling platform, and they're now taking graded cards too. Check them out, starstock.com. Go on the site. They're starting to take some different cards that they originally weren't. So see what they're adding on to their arsenal. You mail them the cards. It's much like ComC, but a lot less of fees. So you mail them your inventory. They take the pictures. They list the cards. When it sells, the money goes into your account. You can buy other cards. You can cash out. But again, nothing to list your cards on StarStock. They only get paid when you sell the cards, and those fees are a lot less than a lot of other places. So I sent an initial card lot to them, and rather quickly had 2 or 3 sales there as well. So kind of a crazy brand new platforms, and boom on both of them, some quick sales. I think it's a testament to where the hobby is right now. A lot of sales going down. People are still spending money somehow, some way. And I think it bodes well for the hobby. Here you have 2 kind of new platforms and making an impact, at least in my mind, right off the bat. And so it's good to see where this hobby is, and hopefully it stays there. So a little of a personal selling story there, if you will. And I want to give a shout out and a plug. There are a sponsor of the show, full disclosure, I'm honest, SGC Grading. Making big moves, if you will. And I send my stuff there, and I sent them stuff even before they became a sponsor. Again, full disclosure and honest. But, their intake is, they're being blitzed with cards right now, with their rep growing and their quick turnaround times. And they're moved into a new bigger building, and they're a little bit behind. And when we say behind for them, we're not talking about PSA or BGS behind. We're talking a couple weeks. And they probably didn't even have to release a statement, but this is the company they are, folks. They released an update statement, and in that statement, they apologized for being 1 to 2 weeks behind. Imagine that. Imagine PSA apologizing for one. Imagine PSA being only 1 or 2 weeks behind. But let's go back to SGC. So they're a couple weeks behind, and they issue an apology, and that's not something they want to do, they said, and it's not what they represent. It's what sets them apart. And so they're very apologetic to that. They mentioned some of the changes and how their intake is at an all-time high, and that to combat the falling behind a little bit, they hired 5 or 6 new employees. And they mentioned that. But they did something that really knocked my socks off, impressed the crap out of me, was they actually named the 5 or 6 employees, gave them their names, a little bit of background, and what they would be doing for the company. It was a really cool thing I've never seen, or not much if I have, where they acknowledged the new employees, welcome to the team, gave a little background about them, and what they would be doing. And I thought, man, what a family feel that is. And I just was very refreshing. I'm going to be honest with you, I immediately texted Peter Steinberg, the president of operations, who I know fairly well now. And I just, said, man, that kudos, that was just very, very cool, man. Very, very cool. And, as someone who's been in the corporate world for a while now, or has seen a lot of things, that was just very refreshing, and it was so nice to see. And that's who SGC is. And I know they're a sponsor, but if they weren't sponsored, if Peter called me up right now and said, sorry, John, we can't continue, I wouldn't say anything different, because that is who they are. And to say otherwise, I'd be lying. And when you see, it's like I told him, I also, we exchanged more text about, once I texted him how awesome I thought that was. And, he reiterated to me, he loves our relationship between the show and SGC. And I said, listen, when you're a company like that and you do things on that level, it's very easy to sing your praises and report that. And so I'm happy to be, SGC's part of the Sports Card Nation family. I'm glad and proud to have them here. And, check that out. Check their social medias out. And I think you'll be surprised. And their turnaround times, even for being a little bit behind, is not even that terrible. And yet they still felt the need to address it and apologize and combat it by hiring new staff. And that's impressive, folks. And I'm not going to ramble on about it, but I definitely wanted to mention it on the show this week. I know they sponsor the show. I don't even run a commercial for them. They're in the cover art, and that's about it. They're going to probably, Peter said he might send me some swag, so we might have some free stuff to give away very shortly. But kudos to SGC, man. That's just very refreshing in today's day and age. And I just want to close with some sports. I know we don't do sports in this segment anymore like we used to, but sports is starting to ramp. Talks are starting to ramp up to getting back on the court, the field, the ice, and basketball has really got their stuff set with a 22-team format. Hockey is getting closer. Football is supposedly planning to start on schedule, but we'll see. And baseball. Then there's baseball, and you get the owners and the players at odds, can't agree on games, can't agree on pay, and from all reports, they are not very close. And there's even talk that we may not even get a baseball season. They may just come back next year and we have a lost season. And I'll just speak from experience. That would be, to me, in my opinion, that would be very similar to the 94 strike. I think it will hurt the sport of baseball, and in turn, if the sport of baseball is hurt, it's probably going to hurt the card market. Probably hurt the sport more than the card market, but baseball can't afford to do it, not play. It would look terrible when you got other sports working their stuff out and getting back to playing, and you just miss the whole season. And so hopefully that don't happen for their sake. And if it does, it'll be very interesting to see what effect it has on the game. The StarStock selling platform has launched. They are now in beta. Currently, you can deposit, purchase cards, view your collection, and flip those cards back on the marketplace, with so much more to be built. StarStock is building a sports card marketplace aimed to be faster and cheaper for flipping sports cards than any other platform. They are currently looking for people who want to submit their cards to sell on this new platform. Here's what they offer: 5% commissions, no ingestion fees. You send in your cards and they do all the work. Cards are guaranteed and secure in their vault, and you can choose to ship cards back at any time. You can buy, flip, store, or ship cards with the click of a button. It's that easy. If you're interested in getting involved as a seller, contact Mike at starstock.com. That's Mike at starstock.com. StarStock is only looking for rookie cards and prospects of current players. Again, for more details, call Mike at starstock.com.
Chunky that left these junkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Hello, Jerry. All right, it's time for Newman's Rambling, where I select one question I get each week and answer it on the air.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. Today's question comes by way of Instagram from user at Cowboys94. And he asked, what were some of your goals for 2020, hobby goals? I didn't notice if you said any. What are they and how are you doing with them? Good question. I thought I mentioned a few of them, but if not, I'll rehash. And those that didn't hear them, or if you're interested, I don't know how exciting it is. I'll kind of give just a couple, some show ones, and obviously some personal collecting hobby ones. You probably heard, if you listen to the show at any sort of length, you probably heard me mention that I would be cutting down on my wax consumption as far as ripping and opening it. I did that in 2019. I wanted to further do that in 2020, and I've done that tremendously. I'm actually ahead of pace. I haven't even opened really a ton this year. To me, you've heard my mantra, opening wax is generally a losing proposition. You're going to probably lose money, even after selling what you want to sell. And I just, after years, it took me, 30-something years to kind of the light bulb to go off, if you will. But I've done a good job of that. Now in 2020, I'm doing a great job of it, but I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to be honest with you. It's really due to two major reasons. Number one, wax prices are incredibly high. Very easy for me not to open with what, when Score Football is bringing $250, it's very easy for me to get off the exit before Score Football and these wax prices. And the other reason, quite frankly, is my retailers, Walmart and Target, the shelves, some of it probably due to the pandemic, but the shelves, you could eat off of them. You could put food on there. There's no cards on them. I said on one of the shows, I forgot which episode, I'm not even sure they're delivering, the distributors even showing up anymore. It's just bare. And so when there's nothing to buy, it's very easy not to buy nothing. So my consumption's way down. Now, I do still buy some wax, but if you follow the show in any capacity, I keep a lot of it sealed, like Topps Update, I got some Bowman Draft Sapphire, Prism basketball, and it's to resell. And even some Panini Stickers basketball, which is my sleeper product, if you will, even though I'm talking out loud about it. I think it's got cards in it. It's a big rookie year with John Zion, and I think a few years from now, some people will go back and look for that product. I don't think there's a ton of it made, too. I think that's helpful. And so that's another product. So most of my wax purchases, quite frankly, are to resell at a later date. So I don't open much. So that goal is very easily hit. Another goal for this year was I wanted to buy the Jackie Robinson Leaf rookie in low grade at the National. That was going to take place in Atlantic City in July. I was definitely probably going to do that. As we know, that National has been moved to December. I will not be able to attend the new dates. And, as far as the Jackie, I'm sort of like tabling that. I kind of wanted to make that a whole thing where I go to the National and make that purchase there, and maybe kind of, for posterity or for a story on the show or record it for YouTube or whatnot. And so, it's a great card. It's not cheap, obviously. I think I'm going to table it to 2021 Chicago, and, gives me another year to kind of put some money towards it, if you will. Maybe I can even bump it up a grade or two by waiting a year. I don't know. May even go up more where I still can get it, but it stays it's going to cost me more and still get a 2 or 3 or what have you. So that was another goal. I'm not off pace with that. That's looking like most likely a possibility when I want to get it done. So those are my 2 sort of hobby goals. And, for the show, I don't set, the show, again, I sound like a broken record, but where the show is now to where we started is, I don't believe, it's very hard to believe, easy 4-digit downloads each week. And the guests we've had on, this is a guest-driven show. They're what makes this show the show. All my guests each week, and I've been blessed and fortunate to have great ones that have made this show what it is, from hobby dignitaries to all the 2020 artists and Dr. Beckett, Chris Carlin, Tom Guiderman, all the great hobby folks that come on, Brody the Kid doing big things at 12. And so the guests are the most interesting part of the show and what's driven the show. And I'm very fortunate in where the show is. So I didn't really set a ton of expectations or goals, just to keep doing the best show I can, clean it up, get better, strive to get, I've said this a lot of times, just make each episode, try to make it each better than the previous one. Give away some stuff. People love free things and winning. That's a huge thing. Do a great job, obviously, for my sponsors and help them out and build that relationships. And we've done a pretty good, always room for improvement, but we've done pretty good. And just keep along those paths. Hobby Hotline now with a great group of fellow podcasters. That's doing pretty well. We've added a second night with the Monday Night Heat show, if you will, and the Saturday Showcase, I'm coining it, version. So Saturday and Mondays, and just building the hobby and being a positive hobby person as best I can. And not to pat myself on the back, but I think we're doing all right there. So great question. I hope that answers it for you, Cowboys 94, and anyone else that may be wondering.
One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire.
Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like one of one. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Commence interview sequence.
Real excited to have my next guest on the One of One Card Shop guest line. He's part of the project that's taking the hobby world by storm. He hails from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's quite acclaimed even before the Topps 2020 project. I'm going to bring him on and then kind of, give him due credit. His name is Raheem Saladeen Johnson, but we probably know him more as King Saladeen from the Topps project. Raheem, welcome.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us a little time. I know you're very busy when you're talented as you are and part of this Topps project as well. I know you got your hands full. Before we even talk about the Topps project, I'm a guy that likes to give all my guests due credit for work they've done. You've worked for Lamborghini, Bugatti, Rolls-Royce, Neiman Marcus. Your work's been exhibited worldwide. So, you're not new to the game. A lot of people, I know I talked to you before we actually came on, not me, but I'm sure there's certain people, especially in the hobby, that maybe thinks, Topps kind of discovered you. You were already discovered. They just utilized your talents. And first off, too, with your Topps work, just incredible. You started at 5 years old. I read in your bio. Kind of go back. I know it's go back to like kind of where it all started for you.
Well, art. It started with me just straight out the womb, but from what I can remember, it was probably 5 to 6 years old, because that's when I started getting in trouble for writing on walls, inside the house, and things like that. So I just remember me continuously like designing my room and writing on my walls. After getting beaten after beaten, my mom was like, "This dude doesn't really like this. This isn't phasing him. So maybe you could just write on your walls in your room." But she allowed me to write in my room, but not inside of the house. So, not inside like down in the kitchen or the living room or anything like that. So once she gave me that freedom, it kind of opened up things for me. And then from there, it was kind of like I'm a sports player, so I'm not like schooled. I never went to school for art or anything like that, which makes it a bigger blessing to get these opportunities. But yeah, man, I'm a hood kid. I'm from the hood. I played basketball, football, but I went to college for basketball, so that was my thing. Left school my second semester on a scholarship, just based on me feeling like everybody played basketball. Everybody was 6'2", 6'3", could shoot a jump shot, could dunk. But these things that I had inside my head, which I would get in trouble for at practice, because I'm thinking about color schemes and all kinds of other stuff when we're doing three-man weave drills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was just like something hit me. I talked to my grandmother, and I talked to her. I said, I think I can maybe do something with art. I have no clue how to make money with art, but it's what's inside of me. You know what I mean? So that's where it kind of started, to make a long story short somewhat. You know what I mean?
And God bless your mom. She compromised with you. She said, "Hey, if you could contain it in your room, that's fine." And the rest is history. I mean, you took it from there. Like you said, you're at practice and you got your mind on the art. It was instilled in you, in your blood. Like you said, you kind of you're self-taught, like you said too. And I think a lot of times, King, with being self-taught, like my dad's a drummer, never took lessons. There's something to be said about that. I think I don't know how to explain, but it's almost sort of natural, and it's kudos to you and to you harness your own abilities without having to go elsewhere to do it. I think that's tremendous. Another person, I know you mentioned your grandma, your mom. I know another person very important to you. He gave you basically your first supplies John J.P. Thompson. I know, unfortunately, he passed away too soon, but I wanted to kind of, I know he meant a lot to you, and I wanted you to, to have the opportunity to kind of, give him his due and talk about that relationship and what it meant to you and your career.
Yeah, well, I think all of us had best friends, so that right there can hit. That shit hit you to let you know how much of a loss that was to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Best friend on top of best friend, just like a motivator, just like a person that's seen what was inside of you. You know what I mean? So I never thought that I could be an artist because I never met an artist before. Especially a living artist. I read about artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After they were dead for 50 years, and now their paintings are worth money. So that was never a real interest of mine because I thought that's the way you had to go about it. But he was always somebody that was just showing me the other ends of it.
Yeah.
Just a whole lot of different stuff, man. I could talk about him all day, but I'm going to sum him up just saying a great guy. He was a visionary. You know what I mean? He wanted all his friends to be without a job. He wanted everybody to do what they was born to do, pretty much. And it's the stuff he used to tell us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But us being from the hood, we just thinking, if we get a job, we're doing pretty good. We're not, doing anything wrong. We're not getting locked up. That's kind of cool. But he's like, bro, you got to dream bigger than that.
Yeah.
Like, you got a lot of talent. He's like, everybody love you. You got a great personality. He used to say this stuff to me, and I used to just be like, yo, bro, can you chill out? You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, when things aren't going your way, you don't really want to hear certain things at times. So he was that person that always pushed me, always was like, when I was down, like, come on, we going out. He was making more money than me and things like that at the time. So whenever he went shopping, I went shopping. So it was never a situation when you got some friends and they're like, well, I got $1,000. You only got $200, and they try to throw it in your face. You know what I'm saying? He was the type of person. All right, I got 500, you got 500, and let's go have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was just a great guy, man. And I just, it's sad to see the things that he wanted to see me doing. I'm like doing times a million. And, he's not here in the physical, but he's definitely here in his presence.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that was probably what I was going to say is, while he may not be here in person, I'm sure if you're a person of faith, he's seeing everything going on and proud of you, I'm sure. Very proud of you. So I talk about your Money Bear character is sort of you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a tribute to JP.
Yeah, the Money Bear is a tribute to JP, just based on we talked about all types of different things, and he's seen my whole athletic career. He's seen my early art career. So I was doing a lot of abstract art. So in the inner city, abstract art isn't really what we gravitate to. That's more like anybody can do it. I can buy that from IKEA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the mind behind abstract art. So he was one of the first people to tell me, hey, I love your abstract work, but you need a logo. So like he was just saying like, well, abstract art is a little different because you got to sign your name. People got to look for it. They don't know who it is. With a logo, he was saying, Raheem, I can see this in Africa and know it's you without you signing your name. So he was like, you got to think of it like a Nike sign or like an Apple phone or, you know what I mean? And I wasn't thinking about it like that. So one day we're in my studio, which was my mom's basement at the time. Yeah. We was just looking through a bunch of art and he started looking through the stuff that I would take to work, like my black books. And he seen a sketch of a bear, like a sketch of a bear with like a Michelin Ness jacket. It was like really fly. Yeah. And he was like, I like this. And I'm like, that? And I'm showing him like 4 to 5 huge abstract paintings. He's like, that's cool, but I like something about this bear. He was like, this is the logo you need. So at the time I had a Nike sweatshirt on. And he was like, well, why'd you buy that sweatshirt? And I'm just like, because I had Nikes on. I like the color and the logo. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, yeah, the logo. So you could have a logo and people would just buy it. You could flip it, colors. And just, so he was pretty much putting that in my head like 2000 and maybe 11. Yeah. And he passed in 2013. So in the midst of me, traveling, because he made me quit my job. That was one of the things he was super adamant about. You got to quit your job because who's going to see your talent if you're at work all day? You don't make enough money. He was just throwing it in my face every day. But it was like his sign before he left. Yeah. So I left my job, walked out 2011, July 4th. So that was like every Independence Day. it's like a real Independence Day for me personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when he passed away, I was in California, and he had the whole situation with him having cancer. I was flying back and forth to LA because back and forth from Philly to LA to go see him. Mm-hmm. And his untimely pass. He passed in maybe 2 weeks of battling cancer, man. And it was so crazy because every time I went up there, he would have a new surgery, and I was the only person that he would talk to throughout. His mom coming up, his sisters coming up, like everybody coming up. He wouldn't really respond to them. As soon as I walked in the room, it was like he was okay for an hour. You know what I mean? It was his thing. So he really was just put in my head that, Raheem, you got to think about the art, and then you got to think about the business of art. The business of art is logos and brand recognition, and even thinking like a brand. So he was putting that in me years ago. So now it's just like practicing a jump shot. You know what I mean? It's just
Well, it's great. I mean, just hearing you talk about him and your relationship to each other, and he told you basically to follow your passion. This is something you can do, kind of, push you off the edge a little bit. And in return, unfortunately, at the end, you were there for him and someone he can respond to and talk to. And now I think he was right with the Money Bear. It's a pretty iconic part of what you do. And it's a great homage to JP as well. As I'm sure every time you kind of see it, you probably think of him, and even more so than that. But it's
not to cut you off.
Yeah, go.
When I gave one to his daughter,
she,
looked at it like no other toy in the world. Now I'm sure she's had every toy, and I just and she's only 5 or 6. But she passed before. I mean, he passed away before she was born. His girlfriend was 3-4 months when he passed away. So that was a big thing too. She was going through it. Do I keep the baby? I don't know what to do. And we was all there for her. Like, yo, keep the baby. Please keep the baby.
Yeah.
I didn't have any money at the time, but I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be big. I got you. I'm gonna make sure that she cool and this and that. So that's just like a blessing in disguise too, man. Where it's like now I'm able to play around with his daughter and tell stories about him. You know what I mean? It's just like the craziest thing ever because I never would have thought that he'd be going at this young age. We're early 30s. You know what I'm saying? I'm 30. So it's just crazy, man. But it's all to the best though.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing that you share stories of her dad, and she'll know what a great guy her dad is through you, and it's great that you're there for her and the family, so she knows that, and that's a beautiful. No other word comes to mind except that's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate you sharing those stories. I know it's probably not easy. You can get emotions sometimes, and I think again, I'm sure JP's very proud of you and happy what you're doing, and that you're kind of continuing his legacy, and even with his own, like you said, with his own daughter. So I appreciate you sharing that, King. So
thanks.
Let's what cards as a kid? I know you are an athlete. Did you collect cards as a younger kid, as a younger man at all, or?
Nah, I never collect cards just because I didn't really I didn't have anybody around me that collected cards. So that's one thing. You kind of got to get schooled into that and be around that environment. So and I'm kind of I'm not like a real neat guy. I'm like messy. I'm not real, you know what I'm saying? Things are everywhere, so I'm not the collector type.
Yeah.
So nah, man, this is all new to me, and it's just amazing.
Well, you never know it by what you're creating. But like you said, you're an athlete, so you relate to these guys on an athletic level just the same. And
definitely.
We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more with King Saladeen. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They're constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook, on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. We're back with King Saladeen. So how did the whole, for those that are listening out there, kind of tell, how did the whole collaboration with Topps kind of go down?
The collaboration with Topps actually went down with one of my managers. He also manages Mr. Cartoon, which is a unbelievable artist. I can keep going on about him, man. He's just like the OG.
Yeah.
So his name was. They initially wanted him to be in the project, and I think my name came up, but they didn't know who represented me, and he just so happenly started to represent me maybe a few months before this project came about. So it was like a meant to be type situation, because if he wasn't in the room, I don't think these people would have been able to, get in contact with me. Yeah.
Well, like you said, it was meant to be. It happened. It's good for you, and I think it's good for everyone else, because you've done 5 cards: Griffey, Mays, Jeter, Mattingly. Who did I miss? Oh, Ichiro. Ichiro.
Ichiro.
Yep. So 5 cards. Ichiro's your biggest. Right now, although I got a feeling that's going to change, but Ichiro's been your biggest seller. But I like them all. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not a Yankee fan per se, but I'm a New York City kid, and so when I saw the Jeter with the skyline of New York City, that really hits me as someone who's, I know you're from Philly, and probably the same way, very proud of your hometown. I'm proud to be from Brooklyn and New York City, and so anytime I see these cards and they represent the city where the player played, that really gets to me or really hits me. All of them. Even Ichiro with Seattle. I forgot what they call it, the point. And you come across as someone who cares about sort of the history, where the person made their mark, and comes out through your work.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of my biggest things when I got the cards. The inspiration was definitely these Hall of Fame players, but also the cities that they played for, the times that they were in. I just wanted to put some environmental type situations, just that wasn't about the sport, because I think if you're a sports junkie, you know everything about these guys already. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to write stats and things like that. You know what I mean? I want to add to the art. I just want to give that New York feel, or that energy of New York. I've been lucky enough to be in New York for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
That's where my management team is from. So I've been like somewhat of a New Yorker for 5 years, and the energy every time that I go to the city, minus the pandemic and everything, it was just unbelievable every time, man. So I just wanted to put that energy and the feeling that I had when I go to New York, when I went to a baseball game, when I went to a Knicks game. It's just a different type of energy. So I had to put that inside of my Yankee cards. I put that in all my cards, but when I got 2 Yankees back to back, it was kind of like, okay, I got to really express something.
Yeah, well, you did a great job so far. I can't wait to see what's next. Was there when you got your kind of list of the 20 players that you were going to be commissioned to do? I know you care about each piece like a true artist does. Was there one player that kind of jumped out at you, like, man, I can't wait till I'm working on this guy?
I don't have my whole list. They give me a certain amount of players.
Yeah.
And then I get another. It's like maybe I get the first 5 or 6, then 5 or 6, and then 5 or So first 2 that I got, I think, were my favorite, just because I was affected by them not being a baseball player or a big baseball fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Griffey and Derek Jeter. Like, I've seen these guys in every type of light. You know what I mean? That's It's beyond that. It's beyond baseball. The culture.
Both Nike guys. They're both Nike guys too.
Both Nike guys. You know, that's the logo. I don't know, man. I mean, something about Ken Griffey was just because when I was very young, and he was like the Michael Jordan of baseball. You know what I mean? And it was like him wearing his hat backwards. That just resonated with everybody. Even when you were playing stickball, you threw your hat backwards just because. You know what I mean? I just think those two guys hit me the most because I actually was a huge fan of not being like a baseball fan, but just a fan of their personality, what they bring to the game, just everything, man. So if I had to say two, it would be definitely my first two, and that was Jeter and Griffey.
Yeah, and again, what you did with them is just tremendous. And like an artist, I mean, they're all your babies when you're doing them, and that comes through in your work. You're being an athlete, you're competitive by nature. How does that translate now that you're in the art world? Is there a correlation there? Is it completely separate? Do you think it gives you maybe an advantage as someone who wasn't as athletic that might be an artist, but they just didn't play sports?
Yeah, I totally think it gives me an edge just based on first thing you learn as an athlete is it's a team sport. Yeah. So going into on the other side of being an artist, it's mostly you being alone or just creating by yourself. You might not having management, you might not having an assistant, you might not having all of these different things that as I knew as being a player that I pretty much needed, because it's not just about creating dope art. It's about creating dope art. It's about your business being right. It's about emails getting places on time for you to be able to be a part of these amazing opportunities like Topps and other things like that. So I think you have to have some type of. You don't have to, but I think it definitely gives you an edge because, for one, I'm going to outwork everybody. That's just how I am. When most artists sleep, that's when I'm woke. I'm up. I'm going crazy, and it's not just me too. So I have like my team with me. That's giving me inspiration. That's pulling up different pictures and that are sending me different things on YouTube to watch about Willie Mays and to watch about Ichiro because I didn't know about these guys. Yeah. So if I had to do everything by myself, it probably wouldn't be as cool of a project in the long run, I think. You know what I mean? Because it'd be one-sided. It'd just be art. Just art. It wouldn't be me bringing culture involved in it. I have brainstorms every day with my team. You know what I mean? Just to throw my ideas around to other people just to see how they react off them. So stuff like that doesn't just come by you being an artist. There has to be, I was a loan officer before too. So the business part is just another side. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you can do great artwork and never get seen until you die. And somebody comes across your storage bin or something like that, and they're like, oh my God. And then you get found. So it's a lot about being able to promote yourself too. You know what I mean? Promote yourself, not be cocky, but very confident in your gift.
Yeah, and like you said, you come from team sports, basketball, football, huge team sports, and so working with a team is almost, I don't want to say seamless, but a smoother transition because you're accustomed to working together beside yourself, and where someone else might butt heads a little bit more, not be on the same page, if you will. And for you, I'm sure you have your moments like anybody would, but probably you're more accustomed to that vibe, and it's a lot smoother of a transition.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next one you got, if I'm not mistaken, is it Nolan Ryan?
Yeah, the next card is Nolan Ryan. I think that drops next Friday, June 5th.
June 5th. Anything you want to say to that? Any little sneak peek or for those listening that might be, Nolan Ryan people, something to give them a little bit of a tease, if you will?
I think this, honestly, might be one of the best looking cards that I've done, just based on orange is my favorite color. Yeah. It's a Nolan Ryan. It's NYC. One of my favorite colors is orange. It's just a lot, man. I'm not a Mets fan, but I had jerseys of the Mets. It's just the color scheme and just, it's not much I can say about him that people might want to know on a baseball level. But I'm telling you, behind the art after I did my research, and I just think this is the best looking card. I'm also dropping my Bear season card that goes along with these Topps cards too.
Yeah.
A few days after. So I'm just trying to connect new with the old. I'm trying to remix and add my flavor to these amazing, iconic people. And I'm also trying to get people into collecting cards and just the world of, card art that aren't into baseball just like I wasn't. You know what I mean? Just because of environments. If I was from the suburbs, I probably would have played baseball and everything, but it wasn't many fields. It wasn't baseball wasn't the go-to sport in the inner city. So I'm trying to use my art and my message and just who I am to get people into baseball. You know what I mean? It's an amazing sport. These guys get paid a whole lot of money. They play forever. It's just a lot of things that I didn't know that I'm just trying to introduce and just get people familiar with that aren't baseball fans.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a great job. Like you said, might be that kid that sees that card. It may not even be even getting someone into baseball, King. It may be someone sees that card and says, hey, I can draw, I can paint, let me see what I can do. And maybe that next artist up and coming years from now will look back and say, who got me to believe, hey, I can do this? It was King Saladeen. I saw his card, and the rest is history. And you can have your influence, even that, like JP told you to pursue your passion, and you can do this. You may do that even through this commission with Topps, and that's the beauty of this whole project, is you don't know who you're affecting or who you may be influencing, and you may find out years from now that kid that 10 years old started, saw your card and got a sketchbook and then just tried his hand at it and, honed his skill, and here he is, who knows how many years later. You never know. You never know.
But one thing that I do know is my son is going to have the best card collection ever. Because I'm buying up everybody. I'm a fan of everybody. I'm a fan of a lot of these artists, and I'm also friends with people like Gregory Sipp's a friend of mine.
He was just on the show. That show's out now, so if you give it a listen, he's a great guy. It's not that this is irony, but we actually share. We're both half Italian, half Jewish from Brooklyn. I thought that was kind of funny. Okay. Yeah, so we had a little fun with that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man. We met in LA a few years ago. We both have the same collector friend, so that's how I introduced the Sip. Ben Baller, Mr. Cartoon. It's like I wanted to meet these guys years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now to be involved and going back and forth with these guys and be able to create their cards and hopefully get them signed and things like that. It's like this is an insane project, especially for the times that we're in. It almost makes you feel like a kid for a minute and you forget about the pandemic.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's something I've talked about on this very show, King, with some of the artists that I've already interviewed. Just in general, we're talking out on the show out loud, is obviously Topps didn't know the pandemic was going to happen, but the timing of the Topps 2020 project couldn't have been better with what's going on. It's taken, I think, people's minds off things. It's created a buzz. Even with the artists themselves, you guys have talked to each other and YouTube and live feeds, and you're getting into cards, buying some of the other artwork. It's creating, it's making the world, even though the world's a gigantic place, it's making a very small and community feel to it, and that's a great thing, and not to be lost in what's going on. And it's a great point you made. And do you pay much attention? I mean, it's kind of I know you probably know this, but just in case, it's going nuts on the secondary market. Do you kind of keep tabs on your stuff, like what's my card selling for, or what's your approach there?
I usually don't keep tabs, but I have a lot of people that my friends and things like that bought cards, and they're going crazy, like, oh my God, I'm going to buy a new house. And I'm just like, okay, it's getting crazy. But me personally, I don't really check the second market, because that's not really what I initially did this program for. I didn't even know that these cards would be I figure if artists touch something that's already worth something, then it could be worth more. But I never came into this project thinking like, oh man, I hope my car is worth $1,000. You know what I'm saying? It's never been that type of vibe. But I understand that this is somewhat of an investment if you get the right player, the right car, at the right time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too heavy on the second market too much. Other than people sending me everything, and I'm just like, dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's kind of refreshing to hear that because you're kind of going into it pure. Like, that's great, but I'm doing my work and putting my passion to work, and if it does that, that's great. And but I'm trying to just be the best artist and do the best piece I can do, and I think that's not that even if you did care or paid attention, I don't think it would mean less. But I mean, you're kind of going into it sort of with a pure attitude, like my job is to make the best art that people will like and love, and if it pops, then I did my job, and congratulations to everybody. Yep. And so, because
when you start thinking about money and this card and this card, it starts to mess up your creativity.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I agree with you. I think you're right, and it's nice to hear that you don't let that sort of haze what you're trying to do. And Nolan Ryan's next. I'm looking forward to everything you got after the Ryan. You got 14 more cards to come. It's just this project's been insane. Honestly, I don't think anybody predicted it was going to be. This is we're not even 25% of the way, King. This thing is taking kind of a life of its own, and it's not even a quarter way done. So it's going to be a fun ride. We still got 75% more of the ride left, and I'm excited for it. The artists that I've talked about, including yourself, you can hear their excitement and their passion, and they're getting to know each other. And it's sort of, is there a little competition? Again, going back to your sports background, is there a little competition even on that? I know you said about not so much the values, but do you look at how many sold or the print runs, and are you competitive on that level or no?
Nah, not really, because honestly, I don't even know how. See, okay, so when it started, right, it was just super organic, about fun, cool. So once they started, showing people the print runs, and this person, their car sold 5,000, this car sold 50,000. It's just like that automatically puts some kind of like competition inside of your body, but it's a different, like it's art. So it's like you can't really say, oh, my art's better, so I should have sold more cars.
Yeah.
It's just really just like I'm just trying to stay as creative as possible and just stay in the same mind frame on each card, still do the research on each player, and just put the same time into each card, so that they're all different, but they all look like one. All my cards look like they're from me. They're not like, oh, let me try to use this guy's style because that's so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all going to be me. So I'm just appreciative that people are going to appreciate it. Not like it. It really doesn't matter to me. I would love for everybody to love it, but this is the real world. So some people might not like it, but I just want to know that I put everything that I had into this project, just like every other project that comes across our desk.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a crazy great job of it, and like you said, your style, you can and that's the beauty of it. You can tell what are your cards, and that's truthfully really how it should be. You have your own style, your own way you do things. You don't have to emulate anybody else. You're being yourself, and that's how where you are right now is because of that. And so I agree with you. And again, kudos, great job. I know as well as thousands of others are looking forward to your work continuing and what's next with this whole project. I know you're very busy, so I appreciate you giving the show some time, and stay well, stay healthy, and
you too, man. Your family, and and for great things, man, you got to make time. So my manager told me that this podcast was supposed to be yesterday, and I was super busy with my kids. And I'm like, please tell them to call tomorrow. so you got to make time for certain things, man. So I appreciate you man.
Well, it's all good, and I'm a dad, so that no apology needed. That's life, man, and you gotta be there. As a dad, I appreciate that. So,
Definitely.
all right, King, thanks again, man. Take care.
Thank you, man. Talk to you soon.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
The eerie, inescapable truth. People really win
On SCNP. All right, kind of feel bad. Haven't given away anything in a little bit, so time to do that. We're going to give away $10 in PayPal. So the winner will email me their email, and I'll put $10 in their PayPal account. Two ways to get an entry. One, I'm going to ask you to give a positive review on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot that positive review and send it to me for one way to get an enter. And the second way is a little easier, but you can enter twice if you do both of these things. Just DM me on Twitter. Direct message me, private message me on Twitter with the word PayPal, and I'll put you on the randomizer list, and I'll roll the dice, randomize the list, whoever comes on top, $10 to the winner. And so two ways to get in, a good positive Apple Podcast review, and or DM me on Twitter, PayPal, and you're in. So two ways to get in. Good luck. Also, I want to take this time to announce next week, courtesy of Iron Sports Cards, we're going to give away 5 free PSA submissions courtesy of Iron Sports Cards. So $10 this week, 5 PSA submissions next week. All right, that's a wrap for episode 79 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Want to thank my guest today, King Saladeen, one of the artists, obviously, on the Topps 2020 project. Great individual. And, the one thing that definitely stood out, even amongst a lot of things with talking to the King, is, no matter where you're from, I mean, he's, like he said himself in his own words, from the hood in Philadelphia, didn't, grew up kind of in the tough streets. I'm from Brooklyn, but we're both very proud of our hometowns and where we're from. But, he was given really nothing. He had to go and get his and work hard, and he had someone, his mom, his grandmother, JP in his life, luckily, to help kind of push him to where he needed to be, and his own talents got him where he went and where he is, and he's very talented. I think the message there, one of them, the message there is no matter where you're from, whether it be a bad neighborhood or not a bad neighborhood, if you work hard and you really want something and you're talented, it can happen for you. And you got to try. And, like I mentioned during the interview with Raheem, maybe a young boy or girl will see one of his cards in the Topps 2020 project, and maybe they're an aspiring artist at a young age, and maybe they have some of those self-doubts that we all have. I can't do it. No one will like my stuff. I don't know anybody. You got to know somebody. That sort of thing. And maybe they'll see his works and be inspired. Maybe they'll know where he's from. Maybe it'll be someone from Philadelphia who says, hey, Raheem did it. I want to be an artist too, and use him as a shining example. And those are the stories, you love to hear, and if you change one person's life for the better, it's worth it, and it's a great thing. And so I think King Saladeen's a great example again of perseverance and hard work and talent and being successful. And he's a highly acclaimed artist. That's the other thing. A lot of times we do, not me, but some people think that Topps again discovered these artists, and that's not the case. These artists were known beforehand. Maybe not so much to the hobby world, because if you're just into cards and not into art, but that's the beauty of this project too, is it exposed us to another element of talent. We're into the talent of the ball players, the athletes, but there's talents in all walks of life, and I think the Topps 2020 project is bringing that art world to the forefront with the sports world, and I'm enjoying it more so, like I said, than I anticipated. And if you would have told me, I would be interviewing a lot of these Topps 2020 projects a few months back, I don't know if I would have thought so, but great conversation, great people. I really look forward to each and every conversation and interview. And speaking of that, next week we'll have JK5, a famous tattoo artist and designer and artwork, hails from Brooklyn, New York. That's where he's located right now, my hometown, as most know. And following that, the following week, we're going to have Andrew Thiel on the show as well. And I'm sure we'll have many of the other artists as we can in future episodes down the line as well. Remember, this project goes all the way to December, and so we have plenty of time. We might take a little bit of a mini break and then get some of them to come back on if they will. So I'm going to keep the closing as brief as I can. I just want to say thank you for giving a little of your time to the show each week, if you do, and even if this is your first week, welcome. I'm a very welcoming to the hobby type of person. If you have any questions, you're more than happy to reach out to me. We appreciate feedback. You like this, you don't like this, you want to see this, you want to hear this. We love, if you enjoyed the show, nothing beats a positive review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate that, and it helps create a little buzz for the show, which is always a great thing. So I hope the show fills a little bit of enjoyment time for you, the hour and a half, if you will. I know making the show, which is, you hear an hour and a half, but it's probably about 4 hours, maybe sometimes more, of production that goes into that. And, like I've always called it, it's a labor of love. It's a sort of my outlet to kind of go into the studio here, the office here, and just kind of get away and focus on the show. And I hope listening to the show has similar effects. And so, in closing, I just want to say, be good to each other. Help one another out. We need that right now.